A very good evening and welcome to this fourth estate edition. And we start this discussion with two major developments this morning. As of this Sunday morning, yes. One was a marathon for free and fair elections. Earlier people had said Ama-Mbabazi might be there, but Mugisha Muntu headlined that marathon earlier today. And then another one was unusual deployment along Entebbe Road, especially at a time like this. And we're hearing suspicion that Ama-Mbabazi was expected to be coming back. But before that, let me introduce the team that I have, and then I'll go into the substance of the discussion. Chris Obore, my colleague. Chris, always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Charles. I think our future is tied together. At the monitor, for many years, the same.
What does that mean? I've seen some funny WhatsApp. This social media, the social media punch up between President Museveni and Ama-Mbabazi. There's one that's circulating where the president is quote saying, "The bright is very future." Our bright is very future. Gerald Barebe is a PhD student. He's a journalist and a PhD student at Toronto University, and formerly worked at the Monitor. Gerald, very nice to have you.
Thank you, Charles, and good evening, our listeners.
And the old man, Onapito Ekomoloid, Corporate Affairs Director of Nile Breweries, S.A.B. Miller. Very many people call him a veteran journalist because he's been in the newsroom as a reporter, as an editor, as a teacher, and as an owner of a newspaper. Well, always a pleasure to have you, to be with you.
Thank you, Charles. Good evening. When you mention old men, distinguished, there are now several old men. They are old men of clans. These are the old men of Teso.
Yes. Let me start like this. On June 16th, 2015, writing as Member of Parliament for Kikizi West constituency, John Patrick Ama-Mbabazi wrote to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission a letter titled Notice of Intention to Conduct Consultations. And it says, in accordance with Section 3 of the Presidential Elections Act 16 of 2005, this is to introduce myself as an aspiring candidate for president for the 2016 general elections. I publicly announce my candidature and find herewith attached a copy of my statement. I will conduct nationwide consultations to prepare my nominations. My program for the nationwide tour is as below. It starts in Mbale on July 9th and is supposed to end in Kanungu, I think. Yes, in Kanungu on Saturday, August 1st. It will take him through Mbale, Soroti, Moroto. Then he'll do private consultations on Sunday, keep it private on Sunday, July 12th, 2015. Then resume on Monday with a trip to Lira, then Gulu, Arua, take one day off to rest, do private events, and then come to Kampala, Wakiso, Jinja, and Palisa. Then Eid el-Fitri on sighting of the moon, which is expected to be on July 21st. And then head to Mubende, Hoima, Kabarole, Bundibujo, have a private day on Sunday, July the 26th, and then head to Ushenyi, Mbarara, Masaka, Ntungamo, Rukunjiri, Kabale, Kisoro, and end up in his home district of Kanungu on Saturday, August the 1st, 2015. The Electoral Commission on the June 18th wrote back to Ama-Mbabazi and said, the Commission acknowledges receipt of your letter, reference 015-006-003, dated 16th June 2015, in regard to the above captioned. Please be guided that while conducting your consultations, the same should be distinguished from distributing of campaign materials, campaigns, holding rallies, and mass meetings, as well as canvassing, soliciting for votes envisaged under sections 21 and 24 of Part 5 of the Presidential Elections Act 2005. The letter is in total 6 paragraphs, so I'll not read all of them. Then, on June 20th, let me first pick June 20th. June 20th, a letter from the National Resistance Movement National Secretariat, dated 20th June 2015, to the Inspector General of Police, Uganda Police Headquarters, Kampala. Notice of intention to hold public meetings by Honorable Ama-Mbabazi. I acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 19th June 2015, referenced as OPS 175/219/01, seeking clarification from the NRM on the above subject. So, General Kaihura wrote on the 19th, and I have the letter. I also have the letter here. On the 19th, to the NRM and to the Electoral Commission, seeking clarification on Ama-Mbabazi's consultation. And this is the response from Kasule Lumumba, very detailed. It is on a total of 3 pages. And she quotes extensively. She says, according to Article 48(1) of the NRM Constitution, all members of NRM who meet national legal requirements shall be eligible to become candidates for NRM at various levels. Article 48(2)(a) says, further states that the presidential candidate for NRM shall be selected by the National Conference from a candidate or candidates recommended to the National Conference by the National Executive Council, pursuant to Article 12, subsection 3A, 12(3)(6) of this Constitution. And under section 3, she goes in and on and on and on. It's a very, very long letter, and concludes by saying, in view of the above legal provisions, I wish to clarify as follows. Number 1, Honorable Ama-Mbabazi is not an aspirant sponsored by the NRM political organization within the meaning of the NRM Constitution and the law. Honorable Ama-Mbabazi's notice to the National Electoral Commission that he intends to contest for president as an NRM flag bearer is not only speculative but also illegal. Number 3, Honorable Ama-Mbabazi's aspirations as an aspiring candidate for president for the 2016 general elections have not been endorsed by the NRM and are therefore illegal. Number 4, Honorable Ama-Mbabazi has no locus standi to hold public meetings as a prospective presidential flag bearer of the NRM political organization and or presidential aspirant under the Presidential Elections Act. Signed by Justin Kasule Lumumba, MP, Secretary General. The last letter I will read for the purposes of this discussion is a letter dated 23rd June 2015 from Uganda Police Headquarters, Uganda Police Force, to Honorable Ama-Mbabazi, Member of Parliament, Chinchizi West Constituency. Notice of intention to hold public meetings by Honorable Ama-Mbabazi. I refer to your letter on the above subject dated 16th June 2015, giving notes of proposed public meetings under Section 5 of the Public Order Management Act 2013, in which you provide a program for countrywide consultations in various parts of Uganda between July and August 2015 as an aspiring candidate under Section 3 of the Presidential Elections Act. I also refer to 2 letters from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission to you, dated 18th June 2015 and 22nd June 2015, respectively, of the above-mentioned subject matter. I further refer to the legal opinion of the Attorney General of Uganda on the matter contained in a letter to me dated 18th June 2015. The purpose of my request for the opinion of the Attorney General was mainly for guidance on whether or not the public meetings that you intend to hold are lawful. In that regard, and as advised by the Attorney General, I had to first establish whether, as an aspiring candidate for president for the 2016 general elections, you have been sponsored or endorsed by a political party or political organization, or are independent of a political party or political organization. None that in your above mentioned letter to me, you were not clear on the matter. Not that in your above you're not clear. Subsequently, I established from the chairperson of the Electoral Commission that you are aspiring as a presidential candidate under the NRM. I also sought and got the position of the NRM. I refer to a letter from the Secretary General of the NRM to me and copied to yourself, dated 20th June 2015, stating the party position on the matter. From the letter, it is clear that your party has neither sponsored nor endorsed you as an aspirant within the meaning of the NRM Constitution and law, and that you have no locus standi to hold public meetings as a prospective presidential flag bearer of the NRM political organization and for presidential aspirant, and that your aspirations are illegal. Note paragraph 3 of the above mentioned letter. Accordingly, in view of the above, your program of public meetings are not cleared by the police and cannot go ahead as you intended until, as requested by the chairman of the Electoral Commission, you first harmonize the position in your letter of introduction to the Electoral Commission and that of your party, the NRM. Note the letter from the chairperson Electoral Commission to you dated 22nd June 2015. There are other issues relating to the requirements under the Public Order Management Act, which I will communicate to you after you have showed evidence to the police that your intended public meetings are lawful. For avoidance of doubt, I have attached the above mentioned references. And these letters are extensively carbon copied. This one is carbon copied to the Prime Minister, the Minister of Internal Affairs, the Attorney General, the Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and the Secretary General of the NRM. Let me start with Onapiso Ekomoloid. What do you make of this? This is a week of intense correspondence between about 4 centers. Ama-Mbabazi, the Electoral Commission, the Uganda Police, and the NRM Secretariat. What do you make of them?
Well, it's quite some good progress in the politics of Uganda. If we now have politics by letters and not politics by violence, so that's good enough. But you have read for so long, so I had to take a sip of water to catch up with you.
I thought I needed the water because...
Look, for me, of all the players there, the only one which slightly surprises me is the police. Otherwise, as far as the NRM is concerned, the sentiments are really what is expected of Ugandan political parties. Ugandan political groups have no reputation for internal democracy. Whether you look at UPC, you look at FDC, they always fight. So the Chadondo letter, plot 10, is typical political fight. And I'm sure Ama-Mbabazi is not surprised that he is being confronted in this way. But maybe the police is sort of really getting caught in a very naked way in trying to make political interpretations of the law. I think for them, they should simply wait for crime to be committed, and then they take action.
Into action.
They arrest those who are breaking the law, whether violently or otherwise. But for them to go to the extent of also trying to interpret the law, and the way these letters were exchanged, it would appear the next logical step is a court action, because there is a lot of dispute. Somebody has to go to court. Maybe even the NRM can go to court, Mbabazi can go to court. But now, if it is just a question of statements of threats and you are not allowed to do, you are not allowed to think, and I heard Mbabazi also subsequently saying Kaihura has no right to stop him, then you're almost going into a bit of anarchy.
Chris?
So, in my view, really, everything is politics except when you have institutions that should purely go by the law, also try to jump into the political ring.
Chris, let me turn to you on this. What do you make of all this exchange? Of course, there are letters I haven't read. There is a second letter from the Electoral Commission, because the first letter was interpreted as meaning that the Electoral Commission had said, okay, go ahead and consult. The second letter was saying, no, we did not authorize your consultation because we have these other issues. What do you make of this? And Ama-Mbabazi's lawyers also wrote back stating their own position. What do you make of it?
What I make of it is that, one, political issues will be resolved politically. Courts will never resolve political issues. I imagine try to arbitrate. This is a political battle, and it must follow all the political procedures for it to be resolved. The other thing is, I agree that the police should just watch, but then you will deny the police the mandate. Theirs is to detect and prevent crime. I think for them to wait for crime to happen would be an abscondment of duty by the police. If they do think that there is a crime to be committed, let them detect it and prevent it. Ultimately, it is the public good that should prevail. Then I tend to think that we must discuss and interpret these events, what it means to this country politically. And of course, what I liked most in the letter is the reference from Ama-Mbabazi that they will send him the ingredients of the Public Order Management Bill.
Act now.
Yes, Act now. So I felt like laughing when you're saying that we will send you details of the Public Order Management Act. And that act is Mbabazi's own law. So I am just sitting back here and saying, hey, so what goes around has to come around. And it is interesting for me how the police is going to read the Riot Act to the owner of the law, and how the owner of the law is going to respond to the law he put in place. That's the beauty of this drama, away from trying to politique. But the majority of the discussions, I watched on this station, a lawyer from Museveni, Kiriwa Kiwanuka. You know, sometimes I used to imagine, because there's a feeling that there are some lawyers who, by virtue of their placement, seem to get privileges. But I was persuaded that Kiriowa he went to law school. Yeah, he went to law school. So I'm not very competent to discuss these legal matters. I am competent to analyze politics. So on that matter, I passed to my brother Barebe to discuss legal matters. Kiriowa convinced me more than I'd believed of Kiriowa on how to deal with these matters. So for me, I will interpret politics, what it means, going forward.
He's not training to be a lawyer.
Charles. He's not training to be a lawyer.
Charles, you help us with the law.
Let's discuss, because there is political interpretation of the law also. And some of the people, I also watched Kiriowa Kiwanuka with Patrick Kamal on the spot. We're not going to that debate now. Gerald, let me start the same question I put to these other gentlemen. What do you make of these kinds of gymnastics? Because the debate has been, Ama-Mbabazi draws his program. He says he's going to consult in accordance with Section 3 of the Presidential Elections Act, which allows an aspirant to do consultations across the country, I mean with his people, to fundraise, to mobilize resources for his candidature. And then you have all this back and forth letter writing between Ginger Road, the Electoral Commission, from Kololo. I don't know where Ama-Mbabazi's tactical headquarters are for now. I still believe they are his residence in Kololo, down to the Electoral Commission, then Plot 10 Chadondo Road, then the police headquarters in Naguru. All this. What does it mean?
Thanks very much, Charles. But I think the most important thing here is to put all this in a wider perspective. And the wider perspective here is the attempt by the government to stop Mbabazi's momentum. So because now here it brings two things. One is the timing, and the second is experience that the government has. The police, so maybe the those in power learn from the previous experience. So timing, you find that actually I think here that's the time. So Mbabazi comes up and says, okay, I'm going to contest against the president in the NRM primaries, and the internet is all awash with stories about Mbabazi. The media, the newspapers, television, all the debate is about Mbabazi. So the attempt by the police and the party is actually to make sure that this momentum ceases. And the best way so for Mbabazi is actually to maintain the momentum going, and in order to maintain the momentum going is actually to be now to go outside in the media, try to polarize himself, and also
you think
mobilize.
You're meaning that Team Mbabazi is happy about this
so now,
kind of back and forth?
Right now I'm saying they are not happy about it, because actually they expected their money to be visited in different parts of the country, right? That's what they are trying to do. But then we saw what happened in toward the 2006 elections, when Besigye came up and all of a sudden started touring the countryside, and the newspapers and television, all of them are following Besigye. He was the talk of the town. So the challenge, I think, for the government and for the NRM party and for the police, I think they are looking at what are the loopholes, both within the law, strategically and legally, that we can use to stop Mbabazi from actually emerging, this momentum of Mbabazi from going further. And so that's why they are looking for all the means. So actually I think, because writing letters works in the interest, first of all, of police and the NRM party, other than being on the street fighting battles with the Mbabazi supporters.
I actually think these letters, police and everybody is building a case to legitimately harm Mbabazi.
Exactly. Yes.
So even I think by exchanging letters, they are putting police on the spotlight. The police are actually gathering all the necessary legal evidence that we took this step, we did this. By the time we caned him, but it was called necessary violence.
No, but I think ultimately this is not going to be getting a legal basis. This is going to be an emotional issue at the end of the day. Because at the same time, you can create the impression that you are stopping Mbabazi by hook or crook.
Yes.
Of course, these words, candidate, aspirant, are well known in this country. No? Right now, if you look at papers, they are awash with aspirants. It's a common thing. And candidates are supposed to be when you become, you got the electoral commission,
you have gone through the process,
and they knock you out. In fact, Mbabazi, of course, is perhaps tactless in terms of being an aspirant. You know, I often go to funerals, and these days one of the classic things you'll notice at funerals is there is a time allotted for aspirants to declare
and even in church, by
and
the
talk
way.
to people.
Yes.
So maybe Mbabazi should have sent these agents to mark all the funerals and keep on appearing as an aspirant of some sort. Yes. Because certainly his aspirant version of going to have formal meetings would be unprecedented. So on that score, people may not understand it. But if he was using the usual aspirant method, move incognito, go to church, go to funerals, greet people,
go to think Aspirant's wedding,
maybe that one,
and then say something.
you can actually move around.
Reading on this
but
before
this formal aspirant is something which now his opponents are trying to say it's against the law.
Just to take a break, my own take on this. Mbabazi is trying to say, to test the democracy. He says he has been building over a long period of time with President Yoweri Museveni. If you have a constitution, you have a Presidential Elections Act, you have an Electoral Commissions Act, it spells out the processes someone is supposed to follow to participate democratically in a free and fair and democratic system. So he tests that by saying, this is my program. Find the law, and he's basing it in the law. He says, I am quoting Section 3 of the Presidential Elections Act, which allows for a candidate to consult.
Again, Charles, it is not you to answer, but I get what I'm saying. But then, Mbabazi would be accused of selective understanding of testing democracy.
That's exactly.
PSG was testing the same democracy.
No, that's exactly the question. Because
what does he mean by testing
selective interpretation of the law by the police, by the NRM, and by Ama-Mbabazi. Let's take a break. We'll pick this discussion up in a moment. Welcome back. You're still watching The Fourth Estate, and we're discussing this legal and letter-writing gymnastics between Ama-Mbabazi, the Electoral Commission, the NRM Secretariat, and the Uganda Police Force. There's a debate about selective interpretation of the law. Yes. Ona, you said at the beginning, police trying to wade into political interpretations when it should be waiting to do its part as a force that is neutral. Obore countered and said, the police is supposed to detect and prevent crime. What is the game being played in your interpretation at this stage?
Look, I don't think the game is stopping Mbabazi. That's the game. And I think there are other letters which have not been revealed to public, which must have gone on in between, and also verbal communication. And you can almost understand the NRM reaction. One, this is a former Secretary General, and also President Museveni is fully aware that not everyone who is saying we are with you is with him. He cannot take anything for granted. And the strength of the NRM, the strength of President Museveni has been this appearance of unblockable, undefeatable. And you don't want Mbabazi going out there and causing the feeling that the old man's time has come, and as he says in his interview. So it would actually be very unwise if you really want to retain power strategically to allow Ama-Mbabazi to go ahead and consult. Because even if he's not going to win, but he will create that feeling which may even energize the opposition.
So I think actually for Mbabazi, the damage that he can cause the president is mostly within his own party. In a way that Museveni, like I say, Museveni has been seen in the party as someone who cannot be challenged. That's why actually the whole attempt that is being marshaled by the ruling party now is to make sure that Mbabazi does not get on the same ballot with the president in the party primaries. So I think Mbabazi has capacity to make damage within the ruling party, but I see his chances as the president as to be almost non-existent at this point. But having no chances of becoming a president does not mean that he has no chance to cause damage. So basically he has capacity to cause damage to the ruling party. One, by subjecting the president to competitive elections within the party, Second, by the fact that he can be seen that that the president, for example, has projected himself, like they're saying, as someone who is very powerful and challengeable and beatable and defeatable. But then this is the guy who was so close to the president. They work together. He is actually seen as the ideological leader of the NRM party. And the president has actually consistently portrayed Mbabazi as someone who provides the ideological vision of the party. So, but this is now the person who is coming up and saying, okay, I'm ready to challenge the president. So I think internally within the ruling party, Mbabazi has capacity to cause damage. But does he have chance of becoming the president of Uganda? I don't think so.
Well, the jury is still out there. Chris, I see two interesting things from Kasule Lumumba's letter. I know members of the NRM legal team sat and pored over the law. The NRM Constitution, the Presidential Elections Act, the Public Order Management Act, they went word for word, clause by clause, section by section. But I find this very surprising that it would come out of the Secretary General of the National Resistance Movement. And I'll quote, a person can only become an aspirant within the meaning of the Presidential Elections Act when he or she is nominated in the party. It is after nomination by the National Electoral Commission that one becomes a candidate for the position of president. Now, the play, because aspirant is highlighted in Lumumba's letter, the play between aspirant and candidate. And then she goes on and outlines the clarification. Three times she says illegal. Honorable Ama-Mbabazi is noted to the Electoral Commission.
Charles, there are two things we are mixing here. What is Mbabazi's ultimate interest? President of Uganda. What is the vehicle he wants to use to reach there? The NRM. This letter is talking about aspiration in regards to what NRM means. Mbabazi can aspire as per their rules to become a candidate for NRM for presidency. It is not saying don't become Uganda's president, but they are saying if you want to become Uganda's president using this vehicle, these are the conditions in this vehicle. That means it's not only him who will be an aspirant to become the candidate. That means even to become an aspirant, there is a procedure in that group. But the EC has a procedure of you becoming a candidate for the country's election. So these are two different things. The NRM and EC are discussed in the same vein. That's how you lose the point. So for them, they have their rules. We should now be, NRM should be telling us what are those rules. So Mbabazi should sort that apart.
You have to be actually approved by say.
You have to be approved by them.
To become what?
To become aspire. Because they will be candidates. And then there is EC of Uganda and there is EC of NRM. So we are being, there's a fusion. We are discussing NRM EC as if it is election.
But being an aspirant is almost a wish.
It's a wish.
And before you subject yourself to institutions, you must first have that wish. So even within whatever political party, you can aspire, then you can be stopped at the formal stage.
And the question is,
hold on, Charles, if it is a wish, I wish to be the president of Uganda. Do I need to call a rallies for my wish?
You can wish
to call a rallies. Do I need to organize groups that Oboro wants to be a president of Uganda? Aspiration is internal.
No,
yes, it is internal.
It can be verbal as well.
I aspire to become the president of World Bank.
Is it a nomination?
So I want to rally in Kitugu.
Nomination, be it within a party or at the electoral commission level, is the cutoff point for wishes and aspirations.
Exactly.
But before that, everybody can aspire and can wish.
And the question is,
that is for Uganda's
nomination. And the question is,
that's for Uganda's presidency. But for the group called NRM, they have formulated their own modus operandi. If you belong to them, sort out your matters.
So Chris, what you're suggesting here to us and to our viewers is that aspiration, as Lumumba says, within the meaning of the NRM, is illegal. You can't even aspire. You can't wish.
So they're not saying it's illegal. They are saying, don't make me an NRM spokesman here. They are saying there is a process to become an NRM aspirant.
There is a process to have a wish within the NRM.
No. Yes. You have a wish, but then you are asking to begin consulting.
Yes.
So it is beyond aspiration now. You are now asking to consult. but they have not said don't harbor a wish to.
But
now,
That's
Obore,
what I'm
have you now
understanding.
seen why I was arguing earlier that this matter needs to go to court? Because it becomes a question of political opinion.
Yes.
If you don't have a competent legal authority to interpret the laws.
Well, but Charles, before we get divert into this NRM thing, me, I want to look at the merits and the demerits of the Mbabazi phenomenon. Because this NRM will take us into running rings. There are bigger issues.
The thing, Chris, the thing we're discussing is, we've been discussing Ama-Mbabazi since February 2014. And we're going to continue discussing Ama-Mbabazi. The clearest we have gotten to having a solid discussion on Ama-Mbabazi's aspirations or his clandestine plans to become president has been provided by his declaration via that YouTube video. The second thing is his letter to the Electoral Commission saying, now it's official. Then he's been on this media blaze with the BBC, with the Voice of America, all over the place, making statements, fielding interviews, and these responses to the NRM. This places us in a context where we can effectively discuss.
Of course, Charles. Even then, even by writing to the Electoral Commission of Uganda, Mbabazi was drawing us to his attention. Yes. If it is he's still seeking through NRM, his letter should have been to Tango Doi. That is the Electoral Commission of NRM. Why did he write to Kigundu and bring Kigundu on the board? So we are being duped by so-called intelligence and what. The aspiration now is for NRM flag bearership. That's what he says. So write it to the NRM Electoral Commission. Then when you sort out your issues, write to our Electoral Commission.
General Barebe, yes. The contest here is what I've had people discuss. Which law is superior? In writing to the NRM, which is the right of any Ugandan, whether you intend to use a vehicle of a political party or to run as an independent, is the Presidential Elections Act as it exists today. And Section 3 of the Presidential Elections Act provides for consultations for an aspirant, not yet a candidate. Because like Ona said, you become a candidate once you have been formally nominated. Even within the national resistance movement, everybody who has whatever aspirations, whether they have declared them officially or not declared them, once the NRM holds its delegates conference, they will have candidates to run for NRM internal positions. Before that time happens, everybody is an aspirant. Now, what law takes precedence? Is it the Presidential Elections Act? Is it the NRM Constitution? Is it the National Constitution? Is it the NRM Constitution?
Well, I think...
because I don't know how the Inspector General of Police writes to the National Resistance Movement seeking interpretation and quotes the NRM Constitution to an aspirant, because I don't know if police enters into...
But Charles, Doctor, before you come in, but Charles,
yes,
whom does the members want to consult? Ugandans or NRM members?
NRM
to
members,
be the NRM.
NRM
because
members
he wants to be NRM flag bearer first. So who is he going to consult now? The NRM supporters to make him a flag bearer, or he wants to consult the nation to make him NRM flag bearer?
Well, I think it's
where do you draw the line?
I think he's going
to I want to know.
Where do you draw the line?
He wants to come as, if you want to come as a UPC candidate, UPC must deliver you as their candidate. So Akena has not been consulting Ugandans, but has been consulting UPC. So whom does the members want to consult here? Consult NRM supporters or consult us as a country? If it is us, then let him sort out with the EC. If he wants to consult NRM supporters, he must sort it out with the NRM.
But wait, but even before he consults NRM supporters, I think he probably needs to gauge his support, his wide support. So the question would be that the NRM supporters also would go to vote for someone whom they think that has a chance of winning the presidency. Right? So Mbabazi has positioned himself as the best candidate even within the NRM, if he has contest within the NRM. And in order to position himself within the NRM, he has actually to show that he has support outside the NRM, right? That he can actually win if he's fronted
so
by
does he have to go against NRM rules to get support?
And the question, the right procedure for him could be consult, yes, because now it is party primary.
For me,
so he has to go with party primary first.
Let me finish.
So basically, he has first to deal with his own party.
That's what I'm
saying. The party nominates him.
That's what I'm saying.
And once the party nominates him, then he has to meet other candidates from other political parties.
Now you are coming to the point.
So what I'm saying is that, so basically, I just want to say that the whole writing between a presidential candidate and a presidential aspirant, is the interpretation is political. And in a way that in some other countries, people just say express interest. Right? I'm expressing my interest in running for the president of the country. And in that way, I'm going to go around to consult. Right? So basically, you are allowed to go and consult. And once you consult, then you can declare publicly from today onward, I am a candidate.
Well, I think for me, the bigger question really, at the end of the day, is this country ever going to change? For this wish that we really have what looks decent politics. If you can't agree on basics like whether somebody can wish, whether cannot wish, I'm not saying NRM is wrong, but it just doesn't look. It doesn't look. I mean, I don't know. You just need to reach a stage where you say, look, can we allow or not allow? The rules need to be clear. Even all the parties are suffering from this kind of nonsense. We saw it in DP, we saw it in FDC, we saw it in UPC. UPC has not concluded. People just cannot allow any fairness. You know?
At least FDC, you need to cut.
I don't know about
the other day they held elections.
The better job.
They have done the elections and they're not fighting at least for now.
They have done a better job. You see, Honor.
But my point is that for all these gymnastics, of course, Mbabazi is a victim of his own making, as we have all said. That he has been for so many years.
He made the law.
Encouraging this kind of whereby aspiring, you know, was not sort of allowed. He's the one who spoke of the famous queue, and now it's catching up with him. But all it means is we really need to ask a big question. After this, it's going to sort out itself. But is this going to solve the political disputes in this country?
I started by saying these issues will be dealt politically. Why NRM appears the villain here is because of the NRM's own undoing. In this matter, logically speaking, NRM is right. But the precedence of NRM makes NRM a villain. NRM has presided over illegalities, especially when it comes to dealing with the opposition. NRM has not been a good student of the law. Now, it is almost a given that whether they come out to interpret the law correctly, the mindset we have is that NRM does not operate within the parameters of the law. So you find now people sentimentally don't want to believe in NRM. But outside that, Charles, I see the merits in Mbabazi's candidature and also the demerits. That's what I'm interested in. One of most significant part in Mbabazi's standing is that it is going to take NRM to another step and also carry along the policy of the country to another level. Why? Because this is going to test President Museveni and perhaps cause a change on how NRM handles its own matters. You know, Mbabazi with the Museveni could ignore any other party structures. No other leaders in NRM ought to be listened to for as long as Mr. Mbabazi has briefed the chairman. So the other NRM supporters became like escorts. Now that the trust has been broken, you know, it is like for us who grew up in the village. Me, I never share about that. Total peasant, and we had the animals. We're hunters. Sometimes, Charles, people love pets. You know, the lion, the cats, the pussycats, the leopards, all belong to the cat family. There are some people who tend to love pussycats so much, but they end up getting a small leopard and breed it. So when you breed the leopard, you don't even want to take it to the veterinary doctors to immunize it, to study it. You say, this, I like my leopard. And everyone is telling you this is not a cat, this is a leopard. Now, when the leopard turns against the owner of the home, people will just say, aha, we told you that you are keeping a leopard, not a pussycat. And the leopard the leopard now has known each and every place in the home. So in this case, Museveni was keeping a leopard, expecting it to be a pussycat. So he has to contend with this leopard. After that, when he emerged, the other way, some people, to keep wealth traditionally, they would go for, in terms of they call it a kunia. You go to a witch doctor, bring a plant it at home that protects your family. Then at a certain point, the kunya begins to lighting at home. This kid is sick. This, so it tortures you, the owner. Once you recover from that, you're likely to change your perspective. So NRM, Museveni himself, now can differentiate a pussycat from a leopard. That's exactly very good.
That's exactly the question. We need to take a break,
That's very good.
That's exactly the question. When NRM begins playing semantics on aspiration and defines to aspire as one guided by law, whether it is the NRM law or any other law, then you have a lot of more.
But who made the NRM constitution?
And that's the question. if Mbabazi made a bad NRM constitution, made a bad Public Order Management Act, what would inform Kasule Lumumba and colleagues in the NRM to use the same law the way they are using it without looking at the future, what the future holds,
no, actually,
even for them?
I think Mbabazi's argument, and that's what he says on Voice of America, this is not a bad law. The issue is that it's being misinterpreted, right? So he says even the Public Order Management Bill has no problem.
Because
the problem is
isn't it trying to
explain? I'm not defending, but that's exactly what he says.
If the farmer has no problem, let it be tested on Mbabazi first to see that there is no problem.
Let's take a break. I want to come back to concluding this discussion. We'll be right back. Drama and the plot is just getting thicker. I don't know yet, as by the time we came on air, whether Ama-Mbabazi had actually made his return into the country. So I'm not able to share that at this moment. But if he has, we will be able to know. But they were waiting for him, and there was heavy deployment. And someone was joking, Chris, saying that for a man who used to come back into the country, call journalists to Entebbe to receive him as Prime Minister, address a press conference from there, and then have a police clearing car. Clearing the way for him now to be waited for the police, not for the purpose.
You would even post the minister to go there to
go and welcome. Now he's been waited for by the police before he comes back into the country. I don't know what that says about the state of our democracy as a country, and especially the people actively involved in shaping this democracy. Because I think the NRM Secretariat as it is constituted today, and the NRM Secretariat headed by Ama-Mbabazi, only until last year, is the same and should be looking at where the country is headed democratically. From, I think, the same lenses as we ordinary people are looking at it. They seem to be using different lenses.
I mean, for me, I always don't want to reduce this to individuals. I know very well that there are a lot of decent people in all these institutions. You meet them, you talk with them, they are perhaps even well-intentioned, but their actions reflect the state of our political and economic involvement. You have, to some extent, there is politics of desperation, where people actually struggle to want to hold offices, or sometimes they make mistakes, but I don't want to attribute it to really having the wrong people or whatever. And our politics is not unusual from anywhere else in Africa. But let's turn to the question of Ama-Mbabazi versus the president. I think President Museveni remains a political colossus who has shaped the past, present, and perhaps the future of this country. I strongly believe that his defeat, if it were to come, it will not be because of the strength of Ama-Mbabazi or anybody. It will be an act of history. If, as they say, no army can defeat an idea whose time has come. If Mbabazi represents an idea whose time has come, then that would be the only reason why the president will lose power. But if it means that he is ascribing to a personal initiative of Mbabazi, his ability to organize, to galvanize, I don't think it's going to happen.
The people who are looking at what some people, Gerald called it Mbabazi momentum, over the last, mathematics is not
it won't even be Mbabazi momentum. Yes. If there is any momentum out there, it will be a change momentum.
Yes, probably the last about 17 months, would you say? Yeah. About the last 17 months, no, 13, 15 months. And they're saying it is not Mbabazi's popularity, but rather the feeling that President Museveni has been around for too long, that people need an alternative that is driving Mbabazi's candidature. I don't know what you say about that.
And I think that's the danger the president could face. It's not even that people genuinely feel that he has been around for too long, he should leave. Maybe you could just have an element of lethargy within the NRM system, the structures, not really getting out to deliver. the effort that is required for the president to retain power. If that kind of paralysis catches on, then the wave of change will take advantage of paralysis. So the biggest enemy for the president and the NRM is paralysis, and that's what they need to fight.
Yes, Gerald.
No, I think first, like I said, Mbabazi probably presents, the only thing that Mbabazi can put on the table is that he's able to provide, let's say, internal competition within NRM. That's if he's allowed to be on the ballot with the president. But his chances...
Is he likely to be allowed, looking at what is going on?
No, I think, by the way, let me tell you, I think one thing we have so far learned from the NRM is that it's a party that is hell-bent on not having the president subjected to any form of competition within the party. And why? Because this would reduce the indivisibility of the president. Because within the NRM, people look at the president as...
Peter calls him a colossus.
Yeah, exactly. Colossus and undefeatable. But then why would you subject him to one of his comrades for competition? So they don't see that. But I think that would be actually very, very important for the NRM and also for its own internal democracy. But what about Mbabazi? I want to say this, especially for people who have been up in arms supporting Mbabazi. I think if we get the president out and replace him with Mbabazi, it will be such a terrible, a very bad deal for Uganda.
You're being very subjective, Mr. Badebe.
No, first, yes, let me explain why.
Before you judge what he can do, the discussion today is, can Mbabazi potentially defeat President Yoweri Museveni? What takes him there? Whether he becomes a better president or a worse president is a discussion for another day.
So the question is, can he defeat Museveni? No, I don't think so. But he has capacity to cause a little bit of damage, especially within the party of the NRM. But the reason why I was saying that is because people who oppose the president are now running supporting Mbabazi against the president. Like we're saying, unless it is on sentiment of ground.
That's the question we're discussing before we came on air.
On matters of principle, we have seen Mbabazi as a security minister. We have seen the guy is the one who was the promoter of this Public Order Management Act, which is now an act. And I'm very happy that actually he is being subjected. His movements and his mobilization capacity has been actually swatted by the same act which he did well.
But I guess his supporters may argue that on all these things he was just being a good team player, which is one of the elements you need for being a good leader.
Then he was a good opportunist.
Then he was just an opportunist. He was not a team player.
Let me first put this, Chris, just before I come to you, let me first come to Ona and then I'll come to you because I need to give you time to wrap up this. Ona. People have been waiting and expecting that there will be a major break. He talks about it to cause internal discomfort for the president within the NRM. Even the youth leaders, the Namaras who were breaking for him between February and the end of the year, have now realigned back with President Yoweri Museveni. And people have been speculating and wondering who will make the break for Ama-Mbabazi. Kizza Besigye made the break from the NRM. At least we saw he was followed by the late Elia Kategaya, he was followed by Mugisha Muntu, he was followed by even Sir Richard Kaijuka. In the earlier days, he was followed by Amanya Mushega, Salam Musumba. Eminent people within the NRM followed his candidature. Shall we see very soon people within the NRM, especially at cabinet level, following Mbabazi?
No, and that has been perhaps the president's greatest strength. Even those departures you are describing of the earlier times were not fundamental enough. You need to look at the departures or the splits in Kenya, in Ikanu, where you have real guys, and people in cabinet, people former. I mean, it's a real split. That's what you need. Not people who are sort of disgruntled and have naturally must join the opposition. So I don't think it will happen, which is both good and bad for the president. Because there also is a problem that some people may be having sentiments of saying they want change, but they don't want to say it because, as I said, they are desperados, people who fear to lose. Yeah. They are comfort, so they rather see. They are sort of sitting on the fence, and those can be very dangerous.
And giving quiet support.
And those are people who can actually You count on them on election day. You think they are doing something. You are in your house. They are not doing anything.
By the way, the
Red paper, the Sunday paper today runs an article of an opinion poll, and that opinion poll puts President Yoweri Museveni ahead at 34.something%. The next candidate, according to that opinion poll, is Kizza Besigye, and Mbabazi comes in third. What they're saying is that if the contest went ahead and Besigye was on the ticket, President Museveni will not have the 50+1% that he requires to sail through automatically. Two questions to you. That opinion poll, what do you make of it? And number two is, shall we see that major break of recognizable faces within the political structure that exists today, breaking from Mbabazi?
Well, opinion poll, true, like Gerard and I've said, and I've said it before over and over. The advantage of Mbabazi's candidature is going to eat into Museveni's percentage win. It's not even going to go into the second round, whatever you're talking about. It was clear from the word go 2016 was the Museveni presidency. And the margin was going to be higher. But the coming of Mbabazi is now going to lower the percentage, but does not stop Museveni from winning.
Because do you think we'll be holding a similar discussion here next year at this time?
Yes, we shall even be embarrassed at how Museveni has sailed through, because Mbabazi put all the legal roadblocks to other people to have challenged. It doesn't require Mbabazi magic to break Museveni. It would have required Mbabazi to have helped Mugisha Muntu, helped Besigye, helped others to get room to operate. By now, it would be bringing something from NRM, combining with these people and have a push. But he instead disabled the activities of those other people. Now he thinks it's coming and it's the miracle, the magic bullet. Far from it. I can tell you, even this tour you're talking about, I have been challenging Mbabazi supporters, especially those people from Teso, that if any of you comes to Chris Obore with just 3 functions, since Mbabazi became a minister, whatever it is, came to power, 3 functions that Mbabazi has attended, from Fika Salama, that's Mbale, to Katakui, aid a burial, or a government function, or a wedding, or what, at least if you're a national leader, you ought to have friends. Come on. But if you have never been to a friend in Teso for a burial, not even celebrate a marriage, not even go to open a government program, what idea does he have about Teso as a leader? So what he's going to do, because of what Peter Able said, there are too many educated young people, there are no jobs. There are very many people who fell out with this, who are angry. Then there's already opposition who are saying this system must go. So that is what is lulling Mbabazi, that he has a national appeal. In Soroti, whoever supports Mbabazi could be because we had opportunities. I've gone to school.
General Barebe talks about momentum, and I'm wondering...
I don't see. If you see a leader like Mbabazi, who's only Uganda, meant Kampala and driving to Kanungu, I don't see a chance for him to actually get a vote from a woman in Serere, deep from Ngora. For what? Because, Charles, even at your level, a journalist, you have gone to Soroti.
But that's why he wants
you have gone with friends.
That's why he wants to do more.
Politics is about network, creating a bonding, creating...
He was the Secretary General of the party.
A party, he never goes to Teso. When he Teso, we're told eat mangoes, eat lizards.
Chris, I say the program starts in Mbale on Thursday, July 9th, 2015. It goes to Soroti on July 10th. It goes to Moroto on July 11th, Saturday. It goes to Lira on Monday, July 13th. Gulu, July 14th. Arua, July 15th. Kampala, July 17th. Wakiso, July 18th.
Don't belabor, Charles.
Yes.
I am board of Teso. Made a man in Bugisu. I understand that those places. Even this time when he was announcing, he had planned 10,000, but after they go there, it's T-shirts. Then they ran around with the 10,000. They went back. The TV captured that. So don't interpret that to political results. Political results are made. Charles is my colleague. I've known Charles. I have to go to portal and be with Charles.
Charles, the difficulty we have in discussing Mbabazi's popularity or lack of popularity is where it's almost hypothetical. We really don't have the parameters to gauge. For me, I know most NRM will not agree, but I would have loved for them to allow him to go through this process, and then you can actually gauge. and maybe
But were you surprised that he chose
and maybe
Uganda
devise a proper countermeasure?
I have two people
because now you are
from
driving whatever support he has, you are driving it underground.
Okay.
And the opportunists, even amongst his supporters, will now come and say, we are the ones, you know, they like defect and do what. Because they think
By the way, I had two questions.
Gerald, can you hold it? Let Chris
I had two
answer
questions.
his other
For
question.
that one, I can tell you, anybody in Teso can give him a vote.
Were you surprised, Chris, that the program starts with Eastern Uganda?
It is just Mbabazi trying to become a national leader now when he's in trouble.
Okay.
I can tell you that.
So answer the second question.
The other thing,
Hold on, answer the second question.
Mbabazi's standing is equally disastrous to the opposition. I sometimes look at as is an agent. Come, imagine that the opposition is disorganized. You come with NRM clout, organize them. Why? I know Mugisha Muntu. I know his heart. I have known Besigye. The way I know them is this way. I haven't had, since he became a commander at a younger age, at 29, Mugisha Muntu could have grabbed somebody's wife, could have grabbed any money. He could have done anything. He never. Besigye could have done anything. I have not seen a corrupt case against Besigye. Never. I have never seen murder against Besigye. So on that basis is why I choose to say, okay, these are good leaders.
Now, Obere, you are missing one point.
This is my point on
yes,
the
but you are missing one point.
The opportunity I have now as Chris Obore, which I never had in 1986 or 1980, is that Museveni picked these people with a gun and ran to Luero and came to be president. Today, anybody aspiring to lead me must be subjected to intense civil society pressure, scrutiny, must be tested to withstand the motions of democracy, to accept that yes, you are a candidate, but you have this. Okay. As I see now, is wrong.
Obore, of course, thinks that this would be sorted out based on that kind of rational decision making by the voters, which is not the case. But let me tell you one difference between Mbabazi and all those guys in terms of opposition leaning sentiments is that he does not cause discomfort for most NRM people if they had a reason to leave the president. Because he represents continuity.
I would be extremely reluctant to agree with your opinion.
Well, that's what I love you to disagree with my opinion.
There are people in the NRM who have been coming out openly and saying, that man? No, me, I will not go with him. Because Chris called it, I think, here on a show.
What I'm saying, look, there are people who believe that Besigye represents overturning the table. You know, Mbabazi would not. He would represent perhaps removing the one at the head of the table.
Why impressive?
We hadn't allowed Gerald.
In that thing, Gerald, remember, Gerald, why opposition must be careful. When Eletria Kadagaya came up, his childhood friend, he knows him. He knows what. He ended up Minister for East African Community. You are shouting today that you want to change in Uganda at any cost. If Museveni beats Mbabazi flat, since you say they know each other, and he does it like he did to Kadagaya and say, my brother, you are misled, come. Why will he leave a position?
Okay.
No, so
I think, yes, Gerald.
I think two things. One,
I think that's a fundamental question you're
Why will he leave a position?
Two things. One is that as regards Mbabazi, and let's actually not look at Mbabazi. Let's look at even all the top guys that surround the president, right? And we pose a similar question: that who, for example, would be clean enough if he departs from the president and they challenges him?
Rugunda, number one.
So
I give you Rugunda.
So you would say Rugunda. Actually, I would partly agree with you.
And I would give you Kadaga.
Listen, but the question with Rugunda is that this is a guy who can turn any time. Worked with Obote. Worked with Museveni.
But that's a good guy.
He's a work with Besigye.
But that's a good
work with Mo.
And that's
so the question is.
And that is the man we need.
So the question for Rugunda is that someone would raise an issue and say, so what does Rugunda believe in?
He believes in Uganda. He served Uganda first.
The guy who didn't serve Idi Amin.
In fact, Mbabazi moved the motion to give Idi Amin life presidency. Hold on. He led a Kanungu delegation to Kampala to demand Mbabazi to demand Amin gets life presidency. So don't blame Rugunda on that one.
Is that based on fact?
Yes.
But the question was
When was that? Which delegation was that?
No, actually even more than that.
I thought in 1970s Mbabazi and Museveni were already working
You are
together.
behind the news.
Amin.
You are behind the news.
Let me ask you a question.
I want to try.
What about Kadaga? What about Kadaga?
No, I think another important thing that we can actually, the scenario we are not considering is, what is the future of Mbabazi outside the NRA once let's say he's defeated? Is this the guy has capacity to declare let's say an independent candidate and let's say maybe an independent candidate or maybe NRM too, but within the NRM, right? So that in that way we can make an argument that actually Mbabazi can get off some support from those who would have voted the president.
And Gerald, can I put that question to you? Because Mbabazi, some school of thought believes the NRM should play its cards, President Museveni will play his cards in such a way that he lures Mbabazi to Nambole for the NRM Delegates Conference and thoroughly defeats him. One of the first things the NRM is likely to do is inside Nambole amend the constitution to bar independent candidates who have contested for internal party positions. It's a debate they have had before, but it has never gotten through because many of the NRM members want that opportunity to run as independents if they get defeated. Now, if that happens, NRM will be within its right as a political party, within its constitution, to block Mbabazi from contesting as an independent candidate once he has participated. Just a moment. Once he has participated as a candidate within the NRM structure, it would be seen as betrayal. And the other school of thought is, will Mbabazi allow himself to be led on into Nambole? If he accepts, he'll be slaughtered there. If he doesn't and stays out, then he can safely declare from outside. But what does that mean for his supporters within the NRM?
No, I think for that to happen, probably it would even require change of the constitution because the constitution provided an independent candidate, someone who can run as an
yes, but candidate. Once you have a political party can decide to control against its own infiltration. Ama-Mbabazi swore those affidavits, trying to get the rebel MPs. Barnabas Tinkasimire, Wilfred Nwagaba, and Theodore Sechikubo to get out of the party, which was saying they violated the party constitution, therefore they cannot be allowed. And the party can safely, if they manage to lure him into Nambole, safully block him from running as an independent.
And an independent,
if he's still a party member.
But an independent, but of the reigning of the NRM reigning. But that cannot stop him from breaking off and declaring his candidature as an independent person.
First of all, in terms of Mbabazi's chances overall, whether in NRM outside, is going to become clear within the next 2 months. By end of August, it will be clear which direction going. 2, he will never run under NRM. He will not even run in Nambole for the...
I think
very soon his fate as an NRM person will be sealed. There is no debate.
Charles, I have told you.
Chris, they say, just a moment, they say that a day is too long in politics. What about a week? What about the next
2 months?
7 months?
I have heard people say,
or 5 months rather.
He's too clever, he's too intelligent, but I've kept repeating. Uganda is not short of intelligent people. Uganda is short of people with a good heart. That's all. Let's discuss the merits of Anapito becoming LC5 chairman Namuria. It will not mean that Anapito is the most educated in Namuria. So intelligence, forget about that. We have seen people with PhDs who can manage politics. The point for me is, if I have no case against Rugunda unless what I call in decision making, that man is a nationalist. I have no case against Muntu. Given the power at a young age, he would be totally tainted. Other than being a commander, what do you say about that man? He's a poor man. He came out living within his means. He's a remorseful fellow. Kisa basically you attack him, but what do you put against him? So I think, it is my thinking, that the opposition, when they are dealing with Mbabazi, needs to be cautious. Because Mbabazi, as you think is intelligent, could actually be using you to cleanse his image, to associate with you. Because he knows on his own, he's damaged.
He said,
so once Museveni hammers him, then already he's preparing Ugandan mindset that he's also an opposition. So now, for you to demand him to account, it will be difficult.
You'll be so disappointed that politics unfortunately favors what you call the wrong people.
Yeah,
you know,
and
that's our politics.
But we shouldn't,
because right now, let me tell
Okay,
you, I'm sure there are a lot of political, let's say, opposition people who have sympathy for Mbabazi, because for them they see him as representing some new opportunity.
But you call it desperation.
They don't look at his merits, whether he's a clean man, whether that is what.
But you are talking about desperation. We need substance in our politics.
Chris, let me put this.
We need it, but unfortunately we never get it.
In his interview with Alan Kasuja on the BBC, he said, Alan Kasuja asked him about allegations that he is also corrupt. And his response was, until 2008, 22 years after the NRM had taken over power, he was known as Mr. Clean. And he says, all those allegations about him, the oil bribery scandal, the Temangalo scandal, and the others, were investigated and found to hold no merit, both within the investigation structure of the police and Parliament. They were arrested. So if you're looking at, you're still trying to assert his claim to be Mr. Clean.
Charles, you are the student of law here. Me, the law I pick in the streets, in the books, is that when you abet a crime, you also get a charge, isn't it? If Baba thinks he's clean and it's Museveni who's dirty, he abetted Museveni as being dirty. So he's as guilty as Museveni. That one is covered. That one don't debate. You're a lawyer, unless I'm wrong.
I'm training to be a lawyer. I'm not yet a lawyer.
He and Museveni are said to have been together. So you cannot come out now and say it is the other one. If the other one is not good, you are better this being not good. Please suffer with Museveni. The other point is, we say Museveni is going to use state money, is going to be a BCD, is going to run suckers, inflation will go high. And everybody is saying, this time Baba also has his money. He has his money. Nobody is telling me that I don't see in Kanungu any industry that has been owned by Mbabazi family. I don't see any enterprise that has lived long that this is the Mbabazi enterprise, but he has the money. And we are saying let's be blind to that. It is wrong. As a journalist, an investigator for that, I wrote stories. At one point, Luero Industries for bullets. We were producing bullets without powder. Who was heading there? Right. Do you know how many things came to this country, imported as ingredients for Luero Industries? Yeah, they were slippers. This is what? Come on, let's not go there. But I'm saying, whether we are angry with Museveni, we must not lose balance. And then you say now, because like, you become like, they talk about a drowning man, that even they catch a snake, because you're in the water, the snake will accelerate your death. So I am saying the civil society, the political opposition, must subject anybody today, anybody. Museveni came through force, and Mbabazi. Anyone who wants to lead Uganda, at least we have a modicum of spaces to demand that we take them through a rigorous vetting exercise. When I do that to Mbabazi, they say, you hate the man, you do what? When he was doing all this former act, was I the one advising him? He must account.
The thing is that...
Gentlemen, we got to bring this to an end, but the question I want to put is, how, from the arguments that Chris is advancing here, how do you avoid an accusation that everybody who comes up to challenge President Museveni, they are assessed from their inadequacies, not from their competencies, and therefore the discussion about succession from President Museveni becomes difficult because everybody who...
Look, that's why for me, I'm telling you, and President Museveni, I'm sure, knows this very well, that it doesn't matter however much someone is a crook. You should only worry what is in the mind of the voter.
Thank you.
And voters can take decisions which may appear as irrational as they come.
Let's have the last word from you, Gerald.
Okay, I think we have talked about the split within the ruling party, but I just wanted to point out one thing, that research actually has shown that splits within ruling parties don't result into democracy. You can look at examples of Zimbabwe, you can look at examples in Kenya, you can look at all these examples.
In Zimbabwe.
Yes, there was split. Shanghai came from Mugabe's party.
That's a reason.
Yes, and Mugabe is still there. So it has been done in South America.
Didn't honor quote Kenya?
That the split within the ruling party actually end up instead emboldening dictatorship.
The last one from you, Chris.
But it is actually the split within the military that results into democracy.
You get,
Because
your last word.
because the
my last
data
word is,
presents
as you get excited with this Mbabazism here, please be careful not to undermine the little gains.
I hope you are not referring to us on this show,
No.
but you are thinking the viewers out there.
Be careful the little gains, not to undermine the little gains Besije and the Muntu and all other political opposition actors have done.
Thank you very much.
I thought you were saying, I thought you were going to say the little games.
Thank you very much. Our time is out, gentlemen. Our time is out. Our time is out. Our time is out. Our time is out. We need to get out of here. Thank you very much to you, gentlemen, and thank you very much to your viewers for joining us tonight. Join us again next Sunday. Have a good night.
Most traumatizing.